Hello and welcome to Life at Your Own Will podcast. This is a podcast where we share things that make us happy, so hopefully we'll make you happy. Whether it's celebrating the world of comedy, an important conversation, or having a rant about something in this raucous century that we live in, our aim is to make you smile, to let you feel like you've almost been hugged from over the internet wires. So, welcome, come in, take a seat, lounge about, kick off your shoes, or anything else. That's the whole point of Life at Your Own Will podcast, doing things exactly the way that you want to, with absolute autonomy. So, Jay's back. Hi, Jay.
Hello.
How's your week been?
Much better, more calm. No customers eating toothpaste, so smashing windows, so it's much better.
Yeah, because you've gone to a new job.
Yeah,
You've gone to a better place, and it's not heaven.
and the most hardest thing I did, the hardest thing I did yesterday was?
I don't know.
Oh, it was so hard.
And what was it?
I had to lift my arm up, right, my hand, and put a ribbon on the door in the changing room, so I knew which person was in which changing room.
Oh, God.
It was. I had to take I sit down for half an hour afterwards. It was too much.
Yeah, that would be really taxing on the human being, wouldn't it?
It would. It is, honestly.
So today we're talking about something that we adore and that we love, grandparents.
Yes.
So I will leave the floor to you.
I want to talk about first my great grandmother.
Whose side is this on?
This is my mum's side. My nonna's mum. Never met her, but I've heard lots of.
Let's begin with, what was her name?
Her name was Violet Isabel.
Lovely.
And she was born in Aldershot in the 16th of October 1917.
1917, so during the First World War.
Yep, during the First World War. And when she was grown up, she moved to Hawick. Usually you don't know what Hawick is. Hawick is a town in the Scottish borders.
Yeah, because surprise, we're from the UK to our overseas listeners.
Yes. If you didn't know...
There's not many of you, but there is overseas listeners.
Yes. Aye, she was lovely, and what I talk about is one of her jobs, probably the job that I probably admire most, probably in the family, is she worked in the King's Theatre. Now, if you don't know, the King's Theatre is in the Tollcross area, and it's finally got the finances to get done up because of the pandemic and other stuff going on in the financial crisis.
Yeah, because of course theatres had to shut during the pandemic.
Yeah, they were going to get all refurbished because it's old, obviously needs.
Mhm.
So finally, they got the money for it, and so grateful because we need to pay her.
Have they?
Yeah, I think so anyway. So she used to work there in the 50s as an usherette. So obviously back then, guess what she got to do?
I don't know. And also, what for people that don't know, what's an usherette?
It's basically people have torches and they take you to your seat in a theatre. Like you see your feet A16, they'll take you to the seat.
So you have to know the layout of the place very well.
Or they'll stand with trays of ice cream to sell in programmes.
Well, I love that. I would have loved that job.
Yeah, and you know what part of her job was I love?
I don't know.
She used to dress up. Our performance was she would dress up in the costume inspired by this show.
Oh.
So yeah, and I think I'll show you, but I'll show you it, but
Of course you won't see this because it's audio
of
only
course,
for now.
but that's her in the middle.
Maybe can we post pictures on the Instagram?
I want to, yeah. That's her in the middle with her costume from one of her plays.
So I'll just describe it. So your nana's one in the middle.
Yeah.
And they're wearing like these. There's like a waistcoat on top of a tulle dress, and your what did you call it, Nana or Gran?
Nana.
Your Nana's in the blue, and the people either side of her are in purple and green, and they're wearing like these fancy hats. I'm not great at describing things, so we'll pop the photo on Instagram at Life at Your Own Will.
Yeah, of course, and I think that's on the right. That's Dorothy, I think, and the left Jessie. I don't know, but also, do you remember that book I got you, Mum, a few years ago? When a old job I had, it was cheap, and they wanted, it was
a guide of Edinburgh.
Yeah, but the King's Theatre, and guess how Mum found it. She was in the book.
I know, that's incredible.
And
your grand's in a book.
And it's the same.
Nana, sorry.
And it's the same night because it's the same outfit she's wearing in that one, but in sepia. But all our friends and she's smiling, and it makes me so proud the fact that she loved her job. And what I really love about that, she got a autograph with all these people.
Like all the famous actors.
Aye, and I think that's amazing because she loved it. And it's like, and I just think that maybe that's where I get my love of theatre from, because she sort of DNA endows it down. I've loved to have met her because she's a massive fan of Dick Emery. She loved obviously You are awful, but I like you.
Is that him that was like, oh, look at the Buccaneer?
I
Or is
think
that someone else? Someone else?
it
No,
might.
that's someone else, I
Yeah,
think.
but I always say, you are awful, but I like you.
I like you.
I love no, and all this funny
No,
thing.
I'm thinking of Larry Grayson.
Oh yeah, shut the door.
Shut that door.
Yeah, and I love that because well, back in the day, you couldn't. There was no benefits back in the 60s and like late 50s. So
Mm,
my uncle was no longer
it's
here.
getting to be more and more like that these days.
Yeah, and my
Ridiculous.
mum were ill with the mumps and measles, or it was, and then they stayed with my great grandparents who were across the road.
Hmm.
I think at the time, if that's
So
right.
it's like back in the time when families kind of lived near each
Yeah,
other. I love that.
they helped each other out and they were close.
Kind of reminds me of like the Coronation Street type lives.
Basically, so they stayed there. And Mum said, "Oh, is that gonna be my bedroom?" And they moved, obviously, and then they stayed there because my nonna, was working and she couldn't obviously take them to their house, their parents' house, and go to work and put them up in that. So it was just easier, you know. And Mum had a really good childhood brought up with Nana, and then
Yeah,
Nana Vi.
because her mum wasn't always like she had to work.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You up to the telephone exchange. Like kids, and back in the day, like 50, 60 years ago, you couldn't just make a phone call. No, no, no. You had to phone up someone. So back in the day, you couldn't just make a phone call. You had to phone someone up who would put a prong in a machine and connect to the call you wanted because
Mhm.
there's no direct lines. So anyway, that's what happened. So she
I'm
said,
just putting you through now.
"Yep, I'll tell you that's another story for another day." But
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah. There is a story behind that.
yep, I'll tell you later. So my nana used to do that, so we used to go on holiday a lot. The mom used to. Nana was quite funny because she saw something on TV, she had to buy it, and it was quite like say even if it's just something useless like a tin of food or a utensil she never use, she'd buy it because it's there.
Wasn't there a story you told me about a washing machine?
Oh yeah, her she always used to when she bought new washing machines. Her friend always used to buy one up from them,
Just one slightly better.
one slightly better because she wanted to be better. And it's like you don't need all that hyacinth bucketry, it's like
But I mean, that's kind of what it was like back in the day. They cared a lot about what their neighbours thought.
and it's don't need to be. I know and it's like yeah, it was just that was it. And I mean during like before that she used to work. And I think it was Lyle and Scott factory making the wool and stuff for the jumpers and stuff like that. I think if it was,
Mhm.
yeah, she used to do all that. And she apparently used to go to the toilet to have a wee sneaky fag.
Did she now?
Yeah, because she used to smoke. I don't grudge her for it, but she used to smoke. And one thing you might like, she actually had a wig.
Did
She
she?
did, but she never wore it.
If you're new to the pod, hi, I'm a lace wig maker and designer.
Yeah, so it's back in the 80s. People bought wigs just for the sake of buying wigs. They
Yeah, I
was like,
suppose it was all the dynasty fashion because Joan Collins she had a different wig in every episode.
yeah. In one of the stories, it was Nana, Mum, and their friends Willie and Jean, or Willie and Jean. They were at the tattoo. No, it's not a tattoo convention where they all got tattoos. It's a military tattoo show in Edinburgh during the
It's a
festival.
Scottish dance festival, yeah.
Yeah, and it's military. So all of them parts of the Commonwealth do perform. They were standing there, right?
My mum absolutely adored that. That was the thing she'd most look forward to at New Year.
Yeah. And what happened was they were going into their seats. And unfortunately, one of them, I can't remember if my nana, accidentally kneed the woman's wig off, and it fell right down. They couldn't get it 'cause it fell right down the pews and over the castle. Obviously, that way. Yeah,
Oh no.
yeah. So it's like,
Imagine not having your wig kicked off.
yeah,
Oh no.
aye. And then funny stories as well. Like they were in one. They were going to back
I think that happened to me once when I wore wigs that fell off. Can't. Oh god.
in one story. They were in London because Mum had won a show to go and see the Phantom of the Opera, and and they got a
By
hotel stay.
Andrew Lloyd Rice.
Exactly,
that, that,
exactly.
that's a line for a bubble from Ab Fab. We
Yeah,
know it's Andrew Lloyd Webber.
and they got this fancy hotel for dinner and that, and then a couple of bits from that. So they went. Papa treated them like thought they were going to this fancy restaurant here, I guess, but they went for their meal.
Where?
KFC.
Oh, how
Yeah,
romantic.
and then after they went there right. After that, I think it was the same
Can we
time.
just go on a slight tangent?
Of course.
I'm trying to say something. I like KFC, but it's the thought of with your bare hands holding that greasy chicken. No, no, just no.
No,
But anyway,
of course. And then I think it was the same time they wanted to get the train back. So Papa said, "Oh, there's a train coming now. They'll go and get it." So they have them two holding my nana and mum holding the running round platforms trying to find his platform for Edinburgh, and nearly missing the train, and they were out of puff, and it's like people looking at them because of the train, and I was like, that's for both of them, but Nana was a character. Like one day they were having, Mum was having this casserole at school, alright, and she had,
Can I ask, but your nana, was she one of these? Because I mean, when you think about a grandmother, you think some of them are very matriarchal, some of them are quite subservient to the husband. What was she like?
no, she was not. She's Nana down to
Oh,
down to a T.
right. Okay, so
Yeah,
that means that she's very headstrong, speaks her mind,
yeah,
doesn't give a shit.
yeah. Basically, I mean, yeah, she does a lot of stuff. Like, yeah,
Like I won't be tied to a kitchen sink kind of thing.
exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Love it.
and then it was funny. Like, what was it? Because she used to, her sister, right, was in her married into Jehovah's Witness, so she became Jehovah. She used to phone her sister up, right, every birthday, say every birthday, and she was like, "You don't do that because I don't celebrate birthdays." And then every time
Oh,
they come for
okay.
lunch, right, you know what she would do?
Do they not? They don't celebrate
No, they
birthdays.
don't, or Christmas or anything. Basically, what happened
Okay.
was, you know what she used to do when they came for dinner at lunch? You always give them black pudding, but they can't have black pudding. But Vi, I can't have black pudding. Oh, I'm sorry. And she always forget. It was just a little joke because she didn't like, it was just one of these things she
But
would
black
do.
pudding is horrendous.
Of course, but it's one of these things. It's just funny. Like Nana used to.
Yeah, let's fry up some sheep blood and guts.
Yeah, no, Nana was lovely. Like like
What was her favourite things to eat?
she, casserole. Like I was saying,
Casserole.
Mum had casserole once for school dinners, and then she asked her what she had. It was casserole and sausages. I had sausage casserole. Oh, look, you're having that again. And Mum's face went mortified because she just had that for lunch and didn't want to have it again.
Oh.
And she used to make lots of stuff like, and it's always meat. Back in the day, meat was always for the older people. So Billy and Papa would get all the the meat, and Mum would get in that. The
Mhm.
coffee was all back then. It was not for kids. Oh, it was great. Nana and then they used to go on holiday a lot, like Bulgaria, Italy, Slovakia, like Yugoslavia when it was
Oh,
all.
so she'd quite like to travel.
She loved to travel, and she loved her family. It was just, I would love to have met her because she would have loved you.
You think?
No, I think she would have loved you. So would Papa actually.
How do you think she would have reacted to the gay thing?
She would have been fine.
Because surprise, surprise, listeners, we're both gay.
Yeah.
Shh.
Papa, I don't think so much, but she would have, because she
Mhm.
would have loved it, and the fact that we love, like, I get my love of sitcoms and programs, all classic, because Mum and Papa and Nana and that,
Mhm.
and you from your family and that we would have bonded, because I would have loved to have had if Nana was still here and
Yeah,
Papa.
like laughter bringing people together.
You know what I would love to have happened, like if Papa and Nana were still here, like, me, you, Papa, Nana, and Mum sitting down in the one room watching Open Lowers.
Oh.
That would be the ultimate thing because we all love that program.
Yeah, we do.
Pot pie. On and yeah, so they got married in 1939, just before the war.
God, there's a war theme thing then.
Yeah, for the war, yeah. And do you know how they actually met?
Imagine that starting your marriage during a world war.
Yeah,
Well, we started ours during a global pandemic. Relatable.
it is actually.
Mm.
Do you know how they met?
I don't know.
This is a lovely story actually.
It's not going to be like Stan and Hilda when she fell over him, is it?
Oh, you got it in one.
No way.
No, I'm joking.
Oh, you bitch.
No, do you know what common riding is? Not Kamen Rider, the Japanese thing, but common riding.
Common riding.
It's basically these towns in like say like the Scottish borders have like dancing and racing and like like it's like a sports day, like a sort of like a gala sports day type thing. And they met. I think it was what year it was. Can't remember. 27 maybe. They so Nana was batting twirling with ribbons. Like kind of you get the Olympics. You get
Oh,
yeah.
right. Well, what's the name for that?
Just batting twirling.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Papa, he was a good runner, sprinter, because if you don't know, you won't know. He used to train Alan Wells and Druitt Master and the famous Scottish people in Meadowbank,
Mhm.
and that's my most proud moment of him and doing all that, right? So he was used to sprint and he was really good at running.
So he must have been quite fit.
He was, and he used to run. So that's how they met.
So she liked fit men.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's how they met because he was running and they met through her doing that at the same time in Jedburgh. And it's like, what a lovely story because if they hadn't done that, they wouldn't have met. And then
See, I love how you know all that information because I don't know how any of my grandparents met,
you know,
and it's not like I've got my mum here to ask.
no, of course it's just a shame, but I'll find out for you though. I will find out some things
Mhm.
because as well. Do you know how when Nana was born, right? I
I
know that.
wasn't there at the time, but yeah.
No, I know the in and out details. If you don't know the gory details,
No, no thanks.
well, I can tell you some things. Papa was in the army. I
Mhm.
don't know if he was promoted yet, but Papa was a bit of a what's the word? A rogue rebel. Like he didn't like getting told what to do by his superiors.
Oh, I know someone like that.
Yeah,
Mm.
and then
Your Honour.
aye, aye, exactly. And then you know what happened, right? So he asked if he could get away because it was January, and he wanted to get away to go and see the firstborn, right? So what he does is he gets told he gets 24 hours, so he gets on his bike and drives and rides in the snow back. I think it must have been Aldershot. I don't know where he was. Back to Edinburgh on his bike in the
Aww.
snow to go and see his firstborn.
Oh, I love that.
I know. Even though they didn't get on very well, but yeah, he did that, and it's like that's a dad for you because
Yeah.
especially back then, your dads probably wouldn't be as
It's demonstrative, yeah.
yeah they wouldn't the mother would be the
Yeah, I
yeah
mean, when we were coming back from the shop just then, there was a dad out teaching his son how to rollerblade, and it was so cute.
yeah and it's
That's, I mean, there's a difference between being a father and a dad, and being a dad's the most important bit.
yeah it is. And I mean yeah, that's what happened there. And I also had Billy afterwards, and then but there were honestly, apart from his shortcomings, I
I mean,
mean
we've all got our shortcomings.
they were lovely. I mean
We're not all perfect like me.
no, or me,
No, but neither of us are perfect.
no, but they were
No one
lovely
is.
people. And I mean to actually to have them graft like they did, because my papa, he obviously he was a, what his job was, and like his main job, like
Was it a trade?
he did have a trade. He did have trade as well.
I don't know
Well,
which.
basically, when he signed up for the war, he was told he wasn't to sign up because he was a plumber, like joiner, he was that kind of thing, roofer.
Oh, okay.
So, but then what he did was he went back in the queue and lied, and they forgot about who he was, and realised how much mistake he had made because he missed out.
Well, a lot of guys did that. Lied about their age, their status,
Yeah,
just so they could fight.
they didn't know what was going on, right? And anyway,
Yeah.
so his proper trade, he was a turf accountant. He's basically Bruce.
Ah, bookie.
Yeah, he's basically Bruce without the dress and the skirts and the
Yeah.
violet.
Bookkeeping for
And he had to
penises.
have a
Yeah.
violet though.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a violet. Aye.
Did they have the large house with a swimming pool and room for a pony?
No, they had a nice house in no more yeah, and all that. Aye. So he did all that, and he had two shops, and one shop was in Fountain Bridge, and it had a toilet in it. Mum was saying. So he moved to West Calder, it's a town in West Lothian.
Mhm.
And one day he used to get the train. If you know Edinburgh, there's a Haymarket station after Waverley. It's like beside, you'll know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Aye. So he used to go there. One day he didn't realise, but a manhole cover was lifted
Okay, and in the street or in the road?
in the street, and he falls through the manhole.
Oh, that's like something out of a comedy.
Benny Hill, aye, and yeah, and then
Imagine that for under a. I mean,
aye,
did it go right down or did it get stuck to the
I
waist?
don't know the whole story, but he went through there for going to work. And it's like that's like a Benny Hill 2 Ronnie sketch. Like it really happened to him, right? So he goes there, and one day they were coming back from holiday, and he'd say his son Billy, my Nana's brother, is no longer here to look after the shop. So he comes in, he's got his feet on the desk, acting like one of these bosses doesn't do any work, and he had people doing the ratios for him, paid
Mhm.
someone to do ratios on the board for him, and he said,
What's
"Get
is that like
the odds."
the odds?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
the
said,
odds.
"Get your feet off the desk now," and told them to leave. He was so angry because
Right.
like because Billy was just lazy, like that one. It's like it's like that's the type of thing, funny things that go on there. Oh, it was just yeah. And apparently, you probably know Tommy. You won't know Tommy Smith.
No.
Well, Tommy Smith is a famous person, like athlete. During the '60s, I think it was, he won a medal in, I think, the Olympics or something, and he put his hand up like that. You can't see what I'm doing, but I have my hand up.
And he held something, or
No,
was it?
no, yeah. Basically, it was for black rights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Papa, he stayed at the house, and is like, that's one of my favorite moments because there knows someone who's actually pioneered and for rights like that. Because I'm a
Yeah.
massive advocate for act rights like that.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
just so good to see that my family, I've done something to achieve something like that, to be friends, and I
Mhm.
have a connection with that. So if I ever met him, I'll say,
Yeah.
you
That.
don't,
I mean, that kind. I mean, anytime you see that kind of thing, when people are fighting for any group of marginalised people, it just warms our heart. It
it
really
does.
does.
Because if I've ever met him, I'll say, you don't know me, but you knew my great grandparents and my mum and that,
Yeah.
and I'm so proud to have, met you. Something.
Mhm.
It's just lovely, and I think these stories need to be told. Like,
Yeah.
like I'll keep saying like
And
what I
that's why
want.
we're here.
Yeah, what I want to do is through Ancestry's new system, right? they've got the colorization on the photos, so you can color the black and white photos.
Yeah, it's such a great feature.
It is, and also they've got the new audio feature where you can do on the website where you can record stuff and put each individual story, make stories like a story sing up with each like
Hmm.
ancestor. So I'm gonna put record tapes of like my uncle and my granddad and mum and all that from years ago on it. So prosperity from my cousin Leo,
Yeah.
and we're gonna get my grand hopefully hopefully if she's able to like willing to do it, mum get stories put on his audio. So when Leo's older,
And we're slowly trying to persuade them to come onto the
yeah,
podcast, aren't we?
we are. It's,
Because yeah, you're not has so many stories.
she does. That's why I want to preserve them because if if we eventually have kids, you know, we want them to know what happened back then, especially Leo, because Leo won't have obviously a lot of of granddad nor Brew have him memories,
Hmm.
and I want him to know who his great grandparents was and who they were behind. I want to know that
Yeah.
where he came from in that side because yes, he's part Italian, but he's also part Scottish,
Yeah.
Irish, and I want him to know that this is what his dad was like back when he was a baby, you know, and things like this, fun things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Bing, because
Just to keep their stories
yeah,
alive.
because final thing on it, like I was watching last month, like month before, it was the Ancestry Live, and was it Cressa? Oh, it was Cressa. I can't remember her name, but she runs Ancestry. Oh, she's part of it, and she said she wants to be the storyteller of the family. And then when she said that, that sort of gave resounded to me so much because that's what I want to be in the family.
Hmm.
The story keeper, the storyteller, to relive stories and find out stories. Because when I do the family tree and I find things out, like find out your obviously your ancestry and your DNA was amazing
Yeah, we'll
because
get onto my grandparents in just a minute.
yeah, of course, yeah. So I'll carry on to you now.
Cool. Yeah, and just touching upon the genealogy thing, you've done my genealogy going back to, is it the 14th century?
About that, yeah, and you can tell them about your family, tell them about who you're related to,
Yeah, so now you should all be doing like a courtesy or whatever you call it because I'm related to King James
and we'll just get it up actually because
the first, I think.
I'm way ahead of you.
Get it up, get what up?
The tree, I can get this,
All right.
I can get the tree and find out who it is. Yeah, King
And
James the first and the second,
well, which one is it?
both.
So I'm related to two King Jameses. Is that the King James that's the King James Bible?
Possibly, I wouldn't pass it.
I'm not great when it comes to monarch history. I can only go as far back as Queen Vicky.
I mean, oh yeah, she'll probably be your granny, your some granny or something, or cousin.
Yeah. So anyway, my grandparents, I knew both sets of grandparents. On my mum's side, uh, yeah, my grandma's very much like my mum in the sense that she was quite small in stature. She adored her husband, she adored her kids, and I'll tell you quite a shocking story actually of a time when me and my grandparents would go to the garden centre, and I can remember it clearly. They had a cream-coloured Vauxhall Cavalier, and it was one of the older versions, and they always had beaded seat covers. You remember those?
I do exact. Yes, yes, yes.
And they always had, because my mum's mum, she was diabetic, and she always had like a tin of sugary sweets and a tin of non-sugary sweets in the glove compartment, just in case she had a hypo.
Of course.
And she always wore a by Cacharel, I think it's called. I think your mum's got that perfume.
She might do. She likes Lulu.
This was, I can't remember if an is the brand or if it's at Cacharel that's a brand. Anyway, just that perfume. And we were going to the garden centre, and I was so excited to get out to see this. It was like a trellis or something weird. I mean, I was an autistic kid, so we're into weird shit. And I wasn't looking at the doors I was closing, and so my granddad had got out of the car, I got out of the car second, Gran got out of the car third, and I'd shut the door. But I
Oh,
wasn't looking at what door I was shutting, and I can still hear her screams now. I'd shut the door on my Gran's pinky finger.
oh no. Oh,
And I can still see it. I mean, I was only about 8, 9, and I can still see it clear as day, and her shouting, "Billy, shut the door! Get the car off her!"
Oh no.
Yeah, I can still remember that. And I get my cooking from her, I think, because she was always cooking soup, and I know like 60 different soup recipes. Famous for my soup. Uh, yes, I am.
I'm only joking.
You love my soups.
I know I do.
Cheek. Um, her husband, my granddad, that's whose name I took. He's quite a small man. He was in one of the armed forces, but I can't remember which one. And um, he was a nice man. He was quite a quiet man actually, from what I remember.
Yeah, I can. You've talked to him a lot.
Yeah, I can't really think of many things. Ask me some questions.
So what happened after? Did you have to go to the hospital? The doctors after the finger was put in the door. Do you remember?
I can't remember what happened after that. All
Oh,
I can remember, I don't know if it was the same visit, but all I can remember is being in this garden centre and like this really nice cafe that was. I mean, this was in the 90s and it was decorated in 90s fashion, and I loved it.
which gardens with Adobe's or B&Q or?
It was one probably in West Calder,
Ah, okay.
but and it was a nice day from what I recall.
Oh, cool.
So that was that. My dad's grandparents, they died before. They died like before my dad's dad died in 1996. So I was only, how old would I have been in 96?
I would have been 2.
So I would have been 8.
Yeah.
And I can still remember when my mum came to tell me that he passed away because he died of pancreatic cancer. Uh, and I can still remember being in the old house, and she said, "Can you come into the room, please?" And I guessed that he'd passed away.
In that age, you're just that intelligent. That's why.
Oh, thank you. I know that. Yes, I remember that. His wife, she died in 2003 of complications due to dementia, and my mum's mum went the same way.
It must be heartbreaking because dementia is one of these things that I've witnessed it what it can firsthand what it can do, and it's not nice.
No, it literally robs someone of their being.
Yep. Especially when if you watch film you watch Finding Your Feet with John Lumley's Liam there,
Yeah,
and
of course, every person that's got dementia or Alzheimer's is completely different. But my my mum's mum, she went from being like this really strong, feisty, headstrong woman to not knowing who she was or her name. And I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking.
what about Julie Goodyear? Unfortunately, just now she's been diagnosed. Nothing they can do for her. It's like,
Yeah, so Julie Goodyear, for those that don't know who she is a UK actress, and she was in a soap called Coronation Street for 25 years, playing my favourite Corrie character ever, Bet Lynch, or Bet Gilroy. And yeah, her husband's just told the public recently that yeah, she's got dementia,
yesterday, yeah, and it's like,
and it just goes to show you it can happen to anyone.
yeah,
Because I mean, obviously she has gone from someone who learnt page after page after page of lines, good memory, good at characterizations, knowing exactly who she is when you watch her in interviews and read her book, to being, I mean, whatever she is now, we don't know what.
because I know when she's tired she forgets, and she's still seeing fans, but it's the fact that she'll not remember anything she's done in Corrie anymore.
I know it is so desperately sad.
Especially the sideboard, and going on holiday to Spain and Tenerife and all that sort of stuff.
Like all those huge moments that like were in the press, because this was way before the internet.
Yeah, meeting Teta Pie.
Yeah, I wonder if she doesn't know who Bet is. Imagine that.
I think she does at the moment. I think it's quite recent they've diagnosed her, but I think, as far as I know, but I think that, like they said,
I mean, if they're saying that I mean, there's nothing they can do, like medicine wise. She must be a
maybe.
bit gone by now.
Because they knew that she was forgetting stuff recently, and it's like they got tests done, and probably weren't expecting it. No one does.
No,
Even they think, oh, it's not happening to us, but it does, and it's like.
I mean, if that happened to me, I'd I mean, it's that conversation that you have to have with your loved ones, isn't it? Depending on where you are.
Of course.
I'd rather just not be here. So if I ever got, honestly, if I ever got to that stage, just shove me in a home, because I'll not know.
No, I would actually visit you until you don't remember me, and then I would move on. Not in a nasty way, but
No, I mean everyone they have they have to lead their lives.
and I don't.
These are just our opinions, of course. Everyone's views are different.
Of course. Yeah, it's not so because like going on to that topic, my granddad's sister-in-law when she had it, or our family all have it, had it. A lot of them do, but one day it's one of these small things, but she lost the coffee pot and then I was saying they put salt instead of sugar in the coffee, and my granddad's like,
Mhm.
this is salt, and it's like she got embarrassed and upset. And then one day I tried to show her a picture of us in Venice, but they said, don't, it's not your fault, it's just you won't understand what it is. And it's like,
Yeah, I mean my mum, she cared for my dad's mum when she was, cause she lived with us, and I mean what I'm about to tell you, these are funny for us. We weren't laughing at her, right? We imagined we were laughing with her, and my nana used to say things like, "There's smoke coming out my tea,"
oh,
or one of my mum's female friends, she had really short hair, and she she said to my dad that there's been a man in this house. Your wife's having an affair,
oh,
but it was just her friend.
oh, it's, yeah,
Uh, yeah, yeah. It's unimaginable to think that that could be us one day. Hopefully not, but it could be us one day.
like,
Because they don't know. I mean, is it hereditary?
yeah, it is. And I mean,
Is it?
like,
We're
my,
not experts, so feel free to get in touch
like, my mum
to let
was,
us know.
my mum is always grateful, not that Papa legs went rather than, not for him because he's a runner, but legs rather,
Rather than his mind.
yeah, because he's still there. And, I don't know, he was stubborn so much when he's wheelchair because he used to swear a lot because he hated it. Obviously, if you're running for so long and you can't,
Yeah, and that like it's like having your identity taken away.
it's like you, obviously,
I mean, it's like me. A bit, it's a bit like an artist if they have their hands cut off.
yeah, it's like you, or it's like me listening to music and or audio dramas, but not having able to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's no nice.
no, and I just wish that like there was something that, I mean, is there anything around right now that can halt it?
They're they're trying drugs, but it is difficult because a lot of it's really there's different types. Obviously, there's dementia, Alzheimer's,
I mean, there's like vascular
vascular. Yeah,
dementia. Yeah,
there's lots of stuff, and it's just.
they didn't remember that really good storyline they did on Emmerdale with Ashley
And they had the special. You didn't watch it, but I watched the special episode of it actually,
through his eyes.
and it was actually brilliant. Most best thing I ever watched because
Yeah,
the special effects on this haziness of the screen.
I mean that's what TV's made for,
Yeah, especially
to,
Emmerdale.
to tell stories
Yeah,
and to help people relate, understand.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad, but I like, and I'm just gonna say like with one of my grandparents. I just chose to. I mean, I'm telling people this because I don't want people to feel guilty. Yeah, but with one of my grandparents, I didn't go to visit them to see the decline. I rather just remembered her the way that she was.
That's understandable because
I mean,
I'm.
I did go to see her once, and after that, I just couldn't.
It's like with me.
Because some people can cope with it, and some people just can't.
Yeah, because like with me, I saw my granddad a couple of years, 2 years ago nearly now. Before like he was still standing up in the hospital and he was having soup and porridge. He was going to the toilet by himself.
Yeah, but like one of my grand. I mean, I'm not saying who it is, just for their dignity, but one of them lost the ability to control like their bodily functions.
And it's not nice to see, is it?
No,
No,
and then she, yeah, you carry on. I'm not going to go down that road.
no. I mean, I got to speak to him before, like obviously, bef- like when he was in the hospice, like before it, and they thought obviously he can get out, but I knew he wasn't getting out because you don't go to hospice to get out very, very rarely. But
Yeah,
and I just and the one thing that the well two things, but the one main thing was seeing him in the car.
the car.
The car when they were coming down during lockdown to visit us, like distances.
So now we're talking about
My
your
granddad,
granddad, not your great granddad.
yeah,
Yeah,
my granddad, yeah, and the
yeah.
fact that he was
His name was Bruno. I'm sure the family won't mind us saying his name.
no, then the fact how scared he was, especially my grand standing beside us, not because they were horrible people, but because of the virus and stuff. And
Yeah, because by that point the government and like all the news outlets were saying, "Don't go near your grandparents, you'll kill them."
yeah, and it's like,
But it's human beings need social contact and social
yeah,
interaction. When you don't have that, and you're someone that's ill, i.e., going through cancer, or just ill in general, it makes you worse.
it doesn't.
And that is a proven, scientifically proven.
When they were in the car, he wanted to go. It's like it was so heartbreaking to see the fact that he was scared to be outside.
Yeah, I mean,
This,
just the window open just a tad.
and I felt that I wish I could go and hug him and just say that. And it wasn't. It was so hard when we talked to him every week on the Zoom call or the messenger
Yeah,
call,
because I mean, like a lot of people, we kind of just forgot how to communicate with each other.
and it was just so hard because we didn't know at the time that it was going to be the last like sort of months when we saw him, but last years he was alive. But I wish that we had just bugger it, and just disobeyed the law.
Yeah, I mean, the
Or
government did.
yeah, they're choosing wine, and just go and see them, and
Bastards.
see Leo and that, and just because life's too short.
Yep.
We lost all those years, the few years we did, we lost a lot of it, and it's like we're never gonna get them back.
Mhm. But I mean, I like, and I'm not trying to minimize your feelings there, but I like to think about all the times that
Yeah,
I got to share with you with them. I mean, you're not still here, but I mean, you're not a brew,
yeah,
and because my grandparents never knew I was gay, they never met you. My mum never met you, uh, and so when I met you, I had this idea in my mind that God, grandparents are homophobic, but it wasn't that like that at all with yours.
no, he
I just got welcomed with open arms, and it was never. It's just normal life for us.
and I remember at that time, the first time you went to my uncle's upstairs because he lived upstairs, that and he smelled the smell of garlic, and you got given garlic. You didn't know it was garlic, and you couldn't talk afterwards because it was
Yeah,
so
he gave me
strong.
a whole garlic clove, and I was like,
And he loved talking to you about.
yeah, because me and Bruno, we loved cooking, and we talk about recipes and things, and he said, try this, and he introduced me to a whole different variety of Italian food.
Aubergine parmigiana,
Yeah,
salami, and bruschetta, got Eudora.
nice meats.
It's just, you know what?
And then we sit and regale us with stories from Italy.
Yeah, you know what? He was my obviously step granddad, but he was my granddad.
Doesn't matter.
No, because the other guy didn't bother. So mum's dad, and I just feel that I just wish he was right here, right now,
I know,
because I
I know.
miss like it's just strange. It's real every day is strange
Yeah,
because he just expects him to
just to be there.
yeah, say bye George, or talk about something, and it's like what.
I mean, he was quite a quiet man, but when he talked about something he liked, he got really animated.
Yeah, when he had a bit of wine, but he never got aggressive. He loved his wine.
Yeah.
One story they were in Venice. I might have been a couple at the same time, but they went to Venice and then they got off the Tranchetto, which we were on. That's the boat. It takes you from the mainland to Venice, and we were up and down.
Mhm.
All these the people were playing their music, and the dubs went. It's when the moment they got the tube got off, there was
Yeah.
for them, and then they're having this pork rolled up in a sausage or something. And the grand had to keep pulling out his mouth because he was choking because it
No, I
was
believe it was beef.
well, beef, sorry, but beef, sorry. And it kept having to roll it. You can see me rolling out
Yeah.
now. Yeah, and it's it's these stories and that. The one thing he said a few years ago, they went on this holiday I want us to go on. Well, we will be going on eventually. It's a Italian culture for 2 weeks, 15 days, and he goes through France and that.
We'll see.
That's a yes, but anyway.
No, because after that trip to London on that sleeper train, I've had more than enough for now.
No, but I'm not saying do that one just now, but we will be going
Yeah, yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah.
No, but I'm saying that he did that, and he said he loved it because he got to see. Because when he's driving, he loves driving through Italy because he gets to see all the stuff. He got to see places he never seen before,
Yeah,
and he got to do it as a passenger rather than the driver, and it really helped him.
yeah.
And I know for him, they didn't do the whole 2 weeks of the tour. They went for a couple of days down to the village because it was they done stuff like Sorrento and that. But it was nice to see that he still enjoyed that, and he loves going out. And he went they went to his restaurant once. I think it was here somewhere in Edinburgh, and his face lit up because it was actually the food he ate growing up. I was like,
Oh, really?
yeah, like it was like because they used to have like what they called zupa. Well, zupa is
Soup.
yeah, it's not like it's like watery soup, and he used to have bread with it. It was zupa di that if he's
Yeah, because he was really poor as a kid, wasn't
he
he?
was, and having that street food with the bread, and he told the waiter, the chef, or the owner, this is what I used to have growing up, and it was great to have that again, because and it's like, yeah, I remember he said once, him and his sister always
And me and him both kind of agreed we hate to see food wasted.
yeah,
And that comes from, well, I was certainly poor, and so was he.
yeah. Well, I'm sorry about that. Him and his wife's sister is still here. His last sister, they were collecting the pasta scraps because they were that poor they had to have scrap. It fell on the ground and they had to pick it up.
Yeah.
And it's all first come first serve. There was 8 of them. Like it was like Camila, Bruno, Lucia, Javan, Giuseppe, Armando. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it's okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, all them. So they had all that to feed, and the house in Italy was actually it's a whole big house once before. It wasn't when they were born, but when his dad died, they divided the house up and put like draw lots for it in a hat
Mm-hmm.
to who got who watched bit and stuff like that. So my grandparents got the bit at the front, and they also got a bit separate bit for them built across the like just opposite. We had like a wee thing for the bathroom for them and all that,
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have a living room because I had that living room. It was nice to have that, and it was so nice there because it was nothing to do, but people were there. We came in like July, August, and people were having their birthdays like their birthday every week, and it was nice to have all the family there. And it's just different now, obviously, because they're all older. But
You know what I really appreciated about Bruno? It was when, because like it used to be almost every week that we would go over for like dinner, and it would be me, you, your mum, and your grandparents,
yeah,
and whilst you and your nonna and your mum were kind of like chatting amongst each other, me and Bruno would just sit and listen because we were both quite quiet, and we would kind of like wink to each other as if to say, yeah, I hear them, hear what they're saying, like
yeah.
private jokes between each other.
I loved hearing you as well talk about food and stuff and like that. You know what one of his favourite pastimes was actually? You know what his favourite thing to watch on TV? These two things to watch besides football:
What's that?
cycling and Western films.
Okay.
Yeah, he loved that.
Yeah, he liked a John Wayne film, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's Randolph Scott, as he called him.
Who?
Randolph Scott. Scott was an actor. We call him Randolph. He used to say funny things, different ways of saying stuff. He liked him, and he loved cycling races like Tour de France and the Giro and all that, and the Spanish one. Not for the cycling, it was just for the scenery.
Mm-hmm.
Because he loved seeing aerial views of the different parts he'd never been to before. It was nice.
Yeah. Oh, grandparents, though. They're just the best, aren't they?
They are. Not saying mum's not the best.
I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but I'm going to describe your nonna to you.
Oh, okay.
Well, also for the listeners as well, because that's the whole point. Now, she's in her mid-80s, and when you think about someone who's in their mid-80s, you think someone that's sat in a chair, knitting, with a cup of tea, watching all the soaps, and phoning someone up just to say what they've had for dinner. But no, that's not who she is. Well, right now she's got a new life partner. She goes on cruises. She's always out shopping.
Yeah.
Always on the iPad. She spies on me on Instagram.
Oh, she does.
Yeah, because I see her pop up in my
She used to
stories.
work for CIA, that's why.
Yeah. Uh, Never goes out the house without her hair done and her makeup on.
Exactly.
Or dressed up in a nice, because she's got some fabulous clothes.
Oh, she is, honestly.
Fabulous clothes. And yeah, she's full of, because she is, how can I describe her? She is, as the saying goes, oh sorry, am I boring you?
No, no, no.
As the saying goes in the UK, she's not backwards and coming forwards. She'll say it as it is.
Sometimes,
And she's not intimidated by anyone.
sometimes to the embarrassment and unneededness, but you know, you can't help that.
Yeah, so I've really enjoyed talking about our grandparents and a trip down memory lane. I love doing trips down memory lane, don't you, Jay?
I do. Can I say something before we go?
Of course.
If you're in America right now and you're in one of the states with the 75 laws up to being passed, please know that even though we're in the UK and Scotland, especially me, you're not alone.
Yeah, even though we're just this tiny wee country compared to you.
Please, please, please reach out, because
What are we talking about here? Just so
yeah,
we can be clear.
yeah, in America at the moment there are 75 or over 100 laws against LGBTQ plus communities
Hmm.
across the 50 states in America, and also do we call it non-white people in
Like honestly,
Florida.
we hear it, we see it, we feel it.
Yeah,
Honestly, our hearts are breaking with
yeah.
you. So
The laws include no denying medical treatment for LGBT people in certain states, banning drag shows and
we're talking
drag
transitioning here,
transition,
transitioning
and
gender.
no, and also not having, and also medical, any kind of medical treatment for gay people as well. They can get refused medical treatment because they're gay. Also, they're banning drag shows and drag show readings to kids, claiming that that is demoralizing.
Drag artists are not predators, all right.
And they're not. And they're not.
And if anyone wants to come to the, I'm being really firm here. If anyone wants to come to this podcast or anywhere where we have space online, and you agree with all that kind of thing, just go away. We don't want to hear from you.
No, because you know what? Guns are the problem, not people dressing up as women or women dressing up as men reading to kids.
It's just fucking clothes, hair, and makeup.
Yep. And also, they in Florida, they are trying to discriminate against black and brown people, which I do not fucking agree with, because
I, 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 I literally cannot believe what I read and hear. The world is going backwards.
yeah, I want you to know, on the Human Rights Campaign, the American website, there is a link, or we'll link
I
on.
mean, let's be real. We don't know all of the ins and outs. We're just sending out
No,
our message of
yeah,
support here.
we'll put a link to that website link. This tells you what you can do.
Yeah, we'll put all that we can in the show notes.
Because it tells you where you can get medical treatment, where you can go to move, where you can get help and stuff.
But you can be safe.
Because right now, somewhat here as well, we're not safe anymore because of what happened with the previous president and their Republican views.
Hmm.
Life for people who say they're a minority and who are a disgrace to God, which is not true, our lives are in danger. Yes, there's other things going on, and people may still think it's not as important what's happening in other parts of Europe and the world, but we matter. It is Pride Month. We need to be known that we need to survive.
We need to survive and we need to thrive. We need to be visible. We need to do all that we can to just make the world a safer place for LGBTQ
Because
plus people.
I don't want to go back to where it was
No.
before the section, what's call it.
Yeah.
Because because in the last 10, 15 years, we've had so many gay people and that on TV openly having relationships, like Seven and Raffi and Star Trek, that sort of heart stuff like that.
Yeah.
We need that to continue, and it's not shoving it down people's throats, because what is getting shoved down our throats is the homophobia and the Bible bashing people who don't understand that we are just trying to live
And the
our lives.
transphobia and the
Biphobia and all that.
oh.
It's not necessary. People need to wake up and realise we are here to stay.
And believe me when we say we are not woke society. We're far from it.
No, we're
We're
not.
just talking about basic human rights here.
Exactly, yeah. And also, and as well,
And also, just a caveat, we have deeply religious friends, and they don't have this stance.
No, my mum is openly Catholic, if you can say that.
Yeah, I mean, we respect anyone that follows religion, but we don't respect people
Yeah.
who follow religion and use that as an
Yeah,
excuse for
we
hate.
may not agree with religion so much, but we're not telling them, well, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So please know that if you're not feeling safe, please reach out, and we can
Support you, but we can guide you in the right
and we can
direction.
talk to you, make friends with you, and help you that way. Because what I want this to be a community where people can become friends, and maybe one day we can do live streams and stuff, and we can actually build a community that way where people can, like we have.
So, like, we really mean it when we say, please share this podcast, tell your friends about it. This is a safe place for LGBTQIA+ plus people.
And neurodivergent people.
Yes. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining us today if you have listened. If you have enjoyed it and you would like to support the podcast, please leave us a review. And yeah, you can share us all week on the socials with your friends. And yeah, we will see you the same time, same place next week. Please take care of yourself, do lots of nice self care, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Toodaloo.
Bye.